Salaries now on the business breakfast. Trevor Murphy is with us in the studio from the recruitment firm Fitch. Morning, Trevor.
Morning, Richard.
Your salary survey. Talking salaries now on the business breakfast. Trevor Murphy is with us in the studio from the recruitment firm Fitch. Morning, Trevor.
Morning, Richard.
Your salary survey for next year is out. The good news, we're all going to get a pay rise. The bad news, just 2%. What's the story?
Yeah, look, I think we're quite surprised on the overall that it's only 2%. I think, and particularly coming off such a busy recruitment year, we're definitely pre-COVID numbers across 95% of all sectors that we operate in. I think that, but this is coming from 300 organisations that are based here.
So this is a lot of people that you've spoken to.
It's a lot of organisations coming in. So from a data point of view. So I just think that there are, there's a little bit of maybe a minimising of costs. I know we talk a lot about the, individual cost of living and inflation prices. The cost of doing business here is also going up, and this is coming directly from organisations, and we're reflecting that data back in our survey.
This is a pay cut, Trevor. Inflation is about 6% at the moment in the UAE. It's not as high as America.
Yep.
It's not as high as Europe, but the central bank says it's 5.6, about 6%. So in real terms, a 2% pay rise is a real terms pay cut.
It's certainly leaving less money in the bank to do what you need to do on a daily, weekly basis. So for sure, right? But salaries never, ever line up with inflation, right? In my 20 years working in recruitment, they never keep lined up. So when you've got very low inflation, but the economy is going very well, that's a bigger drive. In my opinion, that's a bigger drive for salary increases. But the premise I agree with. It's going to be maybe a slightly tighter year as inflation has been high this year. Maybe slightly less for next year, but let's see.
How can companies get away with this? We hear so much about the war for talent at the moment, globally and indeed here in the UAE. Mm-hmm. And if you're an employer and you're only giving your staff a 2% pay rise when inflation is 6%, is your competitor next door and the guy down next door from that not going to be offering them, okay, well, I'll give you 10% more, and poaching them? Are we seeing more poaching happening and people moving jobs?
Yeah, look, all ships don't rise in the same tide, right? So in any sector, in any given sector, you will have organisations that are doing slightly better or better than their competitors, and they will pay a little bit more, and this 2% is it's an average of averages, right? So we are seeing a war for talent. One of the things that we found very surprising is nearly 20% of respondents said that they will decrease salaries next year. In the current market, we find that extraordinary. So you get a lot of organisations. It's not your beautiful bell curve in terms of where success lies. So you get a lot of organisations that are still struggling out here, still struggling to operate in their market, to do well, to sell well, and to pay well. And then you've got a lot of organisations that are in the mid-curve, and then a lot of organisations in the high end.
Can we talk about page 6 of your report? The headline is Bonus Outlook. It's the middle of December. Yeah. What is the outlook for bonuses?
So I think overall quite positive. With over 70% of organisations looking to pay bonuses this year. So that's healthy. It's probably very similar to last year. And probably overall, I think it's a positive indicator. What we've also seen is the organisations that maybe aren't paying bonus pools this year are more likely to increase salaries slightly higher. So that's overall, it's a positive uptick.
We should clarify that Fitch, your organisation, tends to work in the higher level, doesn't it?
Yes,
You're at director level or C-suite level.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What would be the typical salary that we're talking about?
Yeah, so I mean, anywhere between kind of 50 to 60 up to CEO level.
Okay, fine. So we're at quite a high level.
Yeah, we are. It's indicative of what's happening in the organisation, but it's at the higher end level. Yeah, for sure.
But that's your universe.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Can we talk about packages? Tom and I were chatting earlier on, weren't we, Tom, about this kind of theory, unproven, that we have, that organisations at the level you're talking about are tending to hire younger single people because they don't have the 3 kids and you don't have to pay the medical insurance for, 5 or 6 people. Anecdotally, you're hearing that as well, aren't you, Tom?
Yeah, you sort of hear it about it behind the scenes. I don't, we challenge any company to come here and say that's our policy, that's what we're doing at the moment. No one's going to do that.
No.
Is there anything to back that up or not?
Yeah, I would. Certainly a factor, right? It's probably not the first, second, or third most important factor, but but it's certainly a factor. And I mean, we're not I've come on for many years on the show, and we're not a hardship zone anymore, right? So, education being paid for by employers. And maybe to a lesser extent, kind of a family visa and family medical. Those things are slowly winding down.
Is anyone getting beach club membership these days?
Very few beach club membership, Richard. Yeah, no, look, everybody wants to come here. Like, and we're seeing more and more people are just arriving here. Sometimes with families.
Well, we spoke to, just before you were here, Scott Bond, Tom, you were talking to him from Property Finder, came from Seattle's tech scene, moved here in late March with his family.
Exactly that, yeah. And has now become, a great advocate of everything that's going on in the real estate market here.
Yeah. For sure. Look, I think it's next year, from a recruitment point of view, looks very, very busy. UAE forecasted to grow higher and stronger than any other GCC country. And we're seeing that in terms of recruitment plans being laid out for next year now.
Finally, what about Saudi Arabia? Land of milk and honey. Can you double your salary by moving to Riyadh or Neom?
You can certainly significantly increase it by moving to more remote locations. Very, very surprisingly, we're only seeing a just over 3% increase in Saudi in salaries. We've seen 2 back-to-back, maybe even 3 back-to-back strong years of growth, significant growth, a mid to high single-digit growth in salaries in the last 3 years in Saudi.
And where else is the hotspot? UAE is clearly, I would say clearly, I think it is the most attractive market in the region to live in terms of a lifestyle destination.
Yeah.
But in terms of salaries, Qatar, is that back on the radar now?
It just doesn't have the breadth of projects and opportunities that Saudi has. Saudi's going to be the hottest recruitment market in the world next year.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah.
That's why you're here. Trevor, good talking to you. Thanks, mate. Appreciate you getting up
You're
early.
very welcome.
Trevor Murphy is the founder of Cooper Fitch, the recruitment firm. He's also the Chief Operating Officer. As ever, Trevor, lovely to speak to you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Richard.
Enjoy your holiday. You're going back to Ireland, aren't you, in a
back
couple
to
of days?
Ireland, yeah.
Enjoy that, mate.
Thanks, Richard.